Hello students and welcome back to the next module, which is the module 28 of Bootstrap coding. In this particular module, we will understand what is the modal and we will try also making a code of modal to see how modal is basically opened. Now modal is a very commonly used term, but we need to understand what is the main usage of a modal in day-to-day web applications. Imagine we had a website, and in this particular website we had a couple of forms that the user had to fill. So let's say there was some navigations like personal details. The employee had to put the employment details, which is the number of years the company employee has worked in the company, the details like the address, the holidays that the user has taken or the employee has taken. And basically what we wanted to do was, at the end of the personal details, once the user has added a personal details, this window shouldn't close. Why? Because we have to again open another one which is for the employee details and address and holidays. So we do not want to close this web page, but we still want to tell the user that, hey, we've got all your details of your personal data that you have given to us. Now let's say if I want to do that, all I need to do here, students, is that I can open a window on the top of this window that we have, and this window is called as the modal. Modal is something which opens on the top of another web page, which can have a confirmation message like thank you for submitting your details, or it could be as simple as personal details registered or personal details have been taken in. So we might have a situation a lot of times in our web pages where we have to do this thing. Now if you want to do this thing, students, what we need to do is, very first thing we need to remember, we need to make sure that we are using the correct class. And in this particular example, we will be, or basically whenever you want to create a modal, you will be using the class btn primary, btn primary, and you will be using the data toggle as modal. That's it. If you can remember this thing, all is done. Okay, all is done. So what we have done here, let me explain you this code one by one. So if you can see, after the heading I have already created a button, and the name of the button is open modal. So what I am expecting it to do, on the web page, if I open, there will be a button which will say open modal, and if I click on the modal should open, right? If I scroll down, you can see that I have got a code which is for basically creation of the modal. So as I explained you, what we will be using is, we will be using a class which is the modal. Let me just erase this, and yeah, so we'll be using the class which is the modal. We will be using the ID for this modal, and what next we are going to do is, we will be creating a success message. Okay, and in the success message, which is just a heading, what we will have is, on the output window when the modal opens, it will give us the message, thank you for your message, or something like this form has been successfully submitted, thanks for your time and patience, and finally you will have a close button which will help you close the modal. So this is how it gets very attractive and it really serves the purpose. So let's do one thing, students. Let's save this code that we have written, and let us now refresh the page which we have for the HTML files. This is the file. Now if I refresh it, you can see it gives modal example. Now if I click on open modal, can you see that? Success message, the form has been successfully submitted. Now let's get back to the code and let's compare the input and the output we have got. Oh yes, and needless to mention, this is a responsive form. So in this case, students, you can see that right from this message which we have got, the form has been submitted, has been given to us by this line of code. Similarly, the success message heading is right here. We've got a button, right, which is the close button, has actually come from this code, and the opening of the modal is basically the open modal button is the one which is here. Now if I click on close and actually show you again that open modal button, this is that open modal button. Let me just do one thing, let me just highlight where it is. This is the open modal and this is the heading. All right, so I hope now that you can open any kind of modal that you want on your web page. Stay tuned with me, we'll be covering new more concepts in Bootstrap. Thank you and goodbye.